Hey guys, back in the home gym today, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own homemade wrist roller. So this is actually a very simple piece of equipment to make that costs very little, and all you'll need to make it is some rope right here. Now this is some kind of like nylon, like hunting rope or something. It's 1/4 inch, which is important. You don't want it too thick, but you could probably use a little thicker than that if you wanted. So you have your rope, you're going to want a carabiner, and lastly you're going to want a wooden dowel. Now this dowel is 1 inch in diameter, and you're also going to want a screw gun. This could be corded, battery powered, doesn't matter so long as it can drill. And lastly you're going to want a drill bit. Now I'm using a 9/32 drill bit, which is just a tad bit bigger than my 1/4 inch rope, which is important. Firstly, what you want to do is cut your wooden dowel. Now this is already pre-cut, but when I bought it, it was in a longer piece, probably about 6 or 8 feet. Now I cut this to approximately 29 inches. Now this is a lot longer than you would see with commercial pieces of gym equipment, where they're maybe about a foot and a half, if that. And the reason why I decided to make it longer, because if you have it really narrow, if you're doing the roll, your arms are kind of forced to come in, and they can't really naturally hang down, which when it's wider, you can do the wrist rolling and have your arms by your sides instead of kind of having out here when you're really like rubbing up against your legs and stuff. It's just more comfortable, I find, and you can also get a better position of contraction for the forearms too when you have it just out here rather than the wrist kind of being bent in like that. So first, you cut your piece. In this case, let's call it 29 inches. Secondly, what you're going to want to do is drill your hole. So it's important to make your hole exactly in the center. So right here, we have it's about 29 inches. So we would put the hole at 14.5 inches. Okay, so we have our hole drilled. Now the next thing we're going to do is loop our rope through it and also tie it so it doesn't fall out. Now with the rope, you can really cut this to whatever length you want, but I found 3 feet is pretty good, which you're actually going to lose a little bit of length from that, because when you tie it through and do the knots and stuff, you may lose about 6 inches or so. So this is cutting 3 feet will probably give you a good 2.5 feet you'll be able to roll and pull around that roller. So what you're going to want to do is take your rope, loop it through the hole. Then here, for this one, to secure this rope from slipping out, we're simply just going to do a square knot right here. And try and tie it so you don't get a lot of extra rope hanging out of that knot. What I mean by that is, if you can see this right here, this right here is the extra bit that's kind of sticking out, which isn't much, and you don't want that a lot, because if you're rolling, again, if we have it right by our body, if you have a lot of extra rope sticking out there, it can kind of get caught on your short and pull them up and start wrapping your shorts around it, and you feel like you're getting sucked into a chipper or something like that, and you don't want that. So you just you just tie your knot, simple square knot will do it. Then on the other side, what you're going to want to do, this is a little bit more involved, but it's still pretty easy. So you're going to tie multiple square knots. Now I'm going to explain why you'll do that here in a sec. So this carabiner is going to be used to loop around the rope like this. We're going to put our weight through it, then hook the carabiner like this, and it's going to hold our weight. But in order for the carabiner to stay on this rope, we need to tie a knot thick enough that will actually be thicker than this opening of the carabiner. So that when the rope is pulled through, the knot will be bigger, so the carabiner won't slide through. So we may have to tie a good 3 square knots or so. So let's get to it. So that is our second square knot there. Let's see if it fits. It's still a little loose. I think that thing would slide through, so we're probably gonna have to at least give it 3 or maybe even 4. Here's our third square knot. Yeah, that's pretty good. Nice and tight. I don't think that thing's gonna slip out. Put some good force on that. So it's pretty good. So we're gonna just test it out so you can see how this thing works. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there thinking, you know what, this thing, it looks cool and all, but it's just too flimsy. My forearms and grip are so strong. It couldn't handle the weight I'd use for this. The rope would just snap, or the wood would break, or the carabiner would slip. It may just be held on by a few square knots or whatever. If you're thinking that, I'm going to show you something that may change your mind. So behind me, I have a 100-pound kettlebell right here, and I'm going to weight test this thing. I'm going to see if I can lift this up attached to the wrist roller right here, so there's no trickery going on here, and I'm going to see if anything breaks or slips or whatever. Now, 100 pounds, no one is ever going to be using 100 pounds on a wrist roller like this. I've never seen it. If you can do it, please post it on YouTube and show me, because your forearms must be the size of Texas. But anyways, that's not the point, so let's test it out. As you just saw, that thing held up like a tank. Not only could it lift it up, it was taking repeated up and down impact motion too, so there's no worries that this thing is going to break on you.